Hello and thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm excited to share with you this card that I created for the HAI Supply and Pear Blossom Press collaboration blog hop. Both of these companies are amazing small businesses and I adore them to pieces. HAI Supply has a ton of cool embellishments like sequins, jewels, and washi tapes, as well as the gorgeous washi papers that we're using in this hop. Pear Blossom Press has created these easy light units that make light up cards super simple. This video clip is specifically showing how I added the Easy Lights units to this card. For the details on the card front, the link to my blog post will be in the comments below. Be sure to hop along with us and leave some comments along the way for the chance to win a prize. I'm starting out by using my craft pick to poke holes in the card front where I want the lights to shine through. If you have a tiny hole punch or even fine-tipped scissors, you could use those as well. I wanted the lights to shine behind the lanterns, but you can also leave the holes open if you're creating a card with stars or headlights or anything that you don't want to cover up. Next, I lined up the card base with the card front and used a pencil in the holes to mark the spots where I wanted the lights to go. I unsnapped one of the units straight out of the package and selected a battery to go with it. I could not believe how fast the unit was assembled. If you've ever used any of the older kits for making light up cards, you'll know how much fussier the process is with the copper tape and paper flaps, etc. This took me less time to set up than the card front took to make. The kind of tape that you're using here really doesn't matter because this will all be covered up with the card front. None of it will show through except the lights. I position the lights directly over the pencil marks and use Scotch tape to secure them down. You'll want to place the tape pretty close to the actual little light so that they don't have room to shift around inside the card. You'll want them to stay exactly under the hole that you've created in the front of the card. I tested out the placement of the lights to make sure that they were shining through and positioned some of the lanterns over them to see how it would look. Washi paper is pretty thin, so the lights can still be seen through the red washi paper that I used for the lanterns. The battery unit is housed on a nice thick piece of plastic with the Pear Blossom Press logo, and it's perfect for some nice strong double-sided tape to adhere it down to the cardstock. Now, I almost made a mistake here when I was taping down the lights. I didn't think about the direction that I had the wires facing, and I almost didn't have room for the double-sided tape that I would need around the edge. Luckily, if you're gentle with the wires and you don't put sharp kinks in them, they will curve and coil nicely, however you want them to. I was able to gently bend them upwards and use more pieces of tape to secure them with enough room to put foam tape around the outside. I skipped ahead here so you wouldn't have to sit through me placing foam tape all over the card, but for reference I used black foam tape from Therm and Gina, and I did double it up so that it was higher than the button on the battery pack. If you have some extra thick foam tape, you may be able to get away with using just one layer. I made sure that the foam tape wasn't covering any of the wires or the lights or pushing on the battery in any way. Once the card front was officially stuck on, I glued the lanterns into place over the lights. I have little pieces of black foam on the lanterns to pop them up for a little more dimension on my card. As I mentioned before, washi paper is fairly thin, so the red washi pattern that I used in the lanterns still lets plenty of light through. You can experiment with different types of paper, like vellum or thin cardstock, to change the look or even the color that shows through onto your card front. Or you can just leave the lights shining through the holes by themselves. There are so many cool examples of ways to use these lights. You can search on YouTube for plenty of great ideas. Also, if you've never used washi papers before, search on YouTube for how these incredible papers are handmade in Japan. The process is incredibly complex, and I was blown away by the videos that I found. I have this stamp set from Heffy Doodle called Interactively Yours, which is really handy if you're making interactive cards. There are a lot of little instruction sentiments like push here, or pull, or slide, and they're very easy to stamp the tiny lettering so that the recipient of your card understands what to do. I stamped push here in the tiny letters onto a scrap piece of washi paper and punched it out in a tiny circle. I glued that circle directly over the button for the lights. I finished off the card with the sentiment "For You." The interactive stamp set has some fun sentiments with little puns for light up cards, but I went with a more simple, small sentiment in the end because there was already a lot going on this card front. Off camera, when I was finished, I added some gold jewels to the lanterns and some black saucer sequins from the HAI Supply Elegant Saucers collection to finish it off. And there you have it. The process for these light up cards is so easy with these units from Pear Blossom Press. I hope you check out these two awesome companies and follow along with our blog hop today for your chance to win. The supplies that I use will be linked in the description below, as well as the next stop on our blog hop.